I've been testing out the Xbox Ally for 2 weeks now. Let's talk about it. Microsoft invited me and a small handful of other people to the Xbox Canada offices, which are sick offices, by the way. I took this photo there and it's gorgeous. It makes Toronto look great. I got to hang out, have some snacks, set up the Ally, play some games, then bring it home to keep. So thank you, Microsoft. Thank you, Xbox. What's actually kind of fortunate for me in this instance is I already had an Ally. This is the original ROG, ASUS ROG Ally. I called it ROG for so long. It's hard not to. This is the ASUS, the ROG. It's a bit of a mouthful. Xbox Ally, that's got a ring to it. I'm not going to do a super deep dive here, but I'm able to compare what the old one and the new one are like in contrast to each other. Because I love this thing. This is the original here, right? I've used the crap out of this. I've used this traveling, sitting in bed when someone else was on my TV, when I felt like using my TV for, say, a movie, and then I had a little screen for some gaming. I honestly haven't spent a lot of time on my Nintendo Switch 2 because of this, because it's a Windows machine. I can do anything with it. And I really like tweaking this stuff. And that is one of the key differences between a Steam Deck and an Ally, is the Steam Deck is kind of more akin to an iPhone versus an Android. You're getting more power out of this thing, but it's not going to be as simple. Maybe not for everyone. Even I struggled with some stuff on it. Struggle's probably a strong word, but there are things that annoyed me, but that's just Windows, right? It's a Windows machine. You boot it up, it's Windows. Now, the Xbox Ally isn't much different than the original Ally. For better or worse, there are a few key things that are quite important. For me, the biggest thing that I can't even decide if I like or not is the difference in processor. So the original Ally has a Ryzen Z1 Extreme. The Xbox Ally has a Z2A. They both have 16 gigs of RAM, 512GB SSD. They're both 1920 by 1080 at 120 Hertz. The original ROG Ally only has 40 watt hours of battery. The Xbox Ally has 60. But when it comes to the processor, technically speaking, the one in the new Xbox Ally is a worse processor than the original Ally. That is something to grapple with. If we're talking purely performance, the original Ally is better in that regard. However, that greatly affects battery life. So while the Xbox Ally has a better battery, it also doesn't consume as much due to its processor. Now, honestly, at least from my perspective, the differences in power between these two, kind of negligible. The only time I really saw a difference, and we're talking minimal, was in some games while plugged in on manual mode. So what I like about these devices is you can quickly switch the power mode. It'll change a lot of things. It'll lock the frame rate, control fans and the like. And you can push the original Ally much farther, especially when it's plugged in. Sorry, operating mode, silent, performance, turbo. The new one has a Windows mode though, so that's interesting. We'll get there in a second. But turbo mode and manual, which activates once you plug it in, is only 20 watts. Manual mode plugged in on the original Ally pushes a little farther. It gets to 30 watts. So again, on paper, the new lad here isn't better necessarily, isn't gonna win out in performance, but for what it is, I do prefer the new one because that's where I use this. I have a lot of tech. I have multiple PCs. I have laptops, and those I'll use plugged in if I'm gaming on those. I don't want to have to plug this in. I want to use this on airplanes. I want to not have to charge it. And I didn't do any tests myself on how long these last under different loads, but I have some anecdotal evidence that this new one, the Xbox Ally, crushes the original Ally in terms of battery life. Totally anecdotal. I just know that especially when traveling on battery, my original Ally gave me so much trouble, especially because planes won't output the power it needs unless I had it turned off. Funnily enough, my solution to this was finding a portable battery pack that output enough power. But as soon as I ran out of that, which was relatively quick, I was in trouble again. So I found myself having to shut down, recharge, especially on a 14-hour flight. Not ideal. At least for me and the games I was playing and my usage, like an hour, right? Maybe not even sometimes. It also seemed to suck power when in standby pretty bad. I don't think I was ever able to play a bit, leave it overnight, pick it up, play again. It'd be too low battery. But the Xbox Ally, I've done that a lot now. It really doesn't seem to consume as much and holds that power better. And I think part of that's related to that CPU, the bigger battery, but also the architecture, the software. One of the big selling points they're pushing with this is this new Xbox mode. So in the original Ally, you booted it up and you're in Windows, which often just meant you use a fingerprint sensor. Both of them have it. Love that. You're in, you're opening your apps, you're using the touch screen. With the Xbox Ally, it doesn't open full Windows. It has its own lightweight mode. You can choose to then open Windows if you want to, and I actually have only done it once. I haven't needed to. I did it just to see. Now that the Xbox app organizes all your games from Steam, Epic, and the like, you boot up into Xbox, pick your games. So lightweight, so nice, much faster in that regard. I've also found this downloads and executes things and multitasks much better than the original Ally, which I don't think makes sense from a spec perspective? I'm no expert on that stuff, but it doesn't seem right to me. Maybe that just comes down to that software and architecture. And maybe I just had a bug or something, but my original Ally, I had and still have the worst time downloading things. I tried every fix under the book. I found Reddit threads about it. It almost seemed like I was being capped by my read-write speed. It would read and write a tiny bit, and while doing that, drop the download to 0, and then flip, boom, boom, boom. And the download wouldn't even get that high. It could have been a hardware issue, but when games are 60 to 100 gigabytes, it would take me forever. I'm looking at you, Fortnite. It was a nightmare updating Fortnite on that thing. This, no problem. This is significantly bulkier than the original. It almost feels like double. Maybe it is. They're close, but bigger, heavier, much heavier, significantly heavier. Yeah. But what you get out of that is a much more comfortable hold. It feels like you're holding an Xbox controller. It's very nice. Without question, the most comfortable handheld device I have ever held. I think maybe only losing out to the PS Portal, if that counts. And it kind of doesn't because it's just a streaming device. Very, very comfortable. And the triggers are remarkable. Absolutely love these things. As you may know, there are two versions of the Xbox Ally. The white one here is just the normal Xbox Ally. And then you have the black colored one, which is the Xbox Ally X. This one has Hall effect triggers and the Ally X has impulse triggers. And now I didn't get to use the Ally X, so I can't comment on that. I'm hearing some good things. That one is $1,000 US. This one is $600. It is a bit of a leap, but to my understanding, it does significantly outperform this guy, but also likely at the cost of battery life. So I don't know what I would like because I do love the battery life on this. I want a better travel device than this. Hit or miss for travel. And buttons, I don't know if that's coming through. We'll try it. Versus the new one, Xbox Ally has a bit of a deeper sound to it. They're both kind of equally loud, but the sticks also feel nicer, very smooth. While we're talking about buttons, they both have back buttons. I never use these. I always forget these exist. I am glad that the new ones are out of the way. So the old ones here, you're pretty much always resting on them. So I think I just disabled them. It's very easy to customize. These ones you have to reach for, which I much prefer when it comes to back buttons because you get excited and you squeeze and you press something. We also have a little bit different button layout and a new Xbox button. And the Xbox button is actually really cool. If you tap it, it opens up your side menu, change a lot of settings, most of your settings, to be honest, without having to open Windows. And if you hold it, you can easily switch between apps like you're just using a phone. That's killer. Really like that. But what throws me off, and I still have to get used to, they flipped the start/back/menu buttons. Probably mostly a me problem because I had an original Ally, but I'm so used to where that start is, where those buttons are. And then now I'm ending up hitting the wrong ones. And that's an extra problem on the new one right now, because if you press this, which is the library button, it doesn't pause your game or anything. It just switches to that and you can't go back by pressing it again. On the original Ally, if you press that armory crate button, accidental, fine, easily just quickly press it again, you're back to where you were. I almost expect them to fix this because it is very frustrating to be in the middle of a game, accidentally hit that, then have to freak out, navigate your way back to where you were. I usually just have to hold this, go find it again. Very frustrating, but theoretically an easy fix. So the sticks light up again, completely customizable. And because you can only turn brightness down to 33, my secret is by changing the color to black with only 6 green. You can make them really light because these are annoying. These are very bright. And by default, when it's charging, those are lit up. So you have that in your room or something and it's very annoying, but I think you can just turn that off. The new Xbox Ally also has 2 USB-C ports. Definitely great if you have USB-C headphones or something and you also want to charge at the same time. Micro SD, auxiliary, your volume buttons. That's the Xbox Ally. So is this the biggest leap ever? No, and in some ways it's even a step back from the Ally, but it depends what you want it for. I still need to evaluate that, and I'm tempted to get myself an X just to have a little more power, but I also don't mind because I do mainly want longer battery out of a device like this, and it is very comfortable, I guess, depending on your position. This is probably not a device you're going to want to do this with. You will break your nose. You don't want to be laying on your back. When these were revealed, I misunderstood and relayed some incorrect information, which was that these could play Xbox games, like original Xbox games. It can't. You can stream them pretty easily, and that works great, but that is something I want to see. If the new direction of Xbox is, this is an Xbox, this is an Xbox, this mic's an Xbox, let me play my games on it without streaming them. If we're creating this new software architecture, imagine being able to actually load, emulate 360 games, original Xbox games, my true full library without streaming them. I feel like we're long overdue for that happening. And maybe that will happen if this is the direction they go down. I want it to happen. Throwing it out there, Microsoft, please. I do believe Microsoft is the best of the gaming companies for preservation and access to older titles, but I don't think they've been doing particularly amazing in that lately. Here's your chance. I don't know, what hoops you gotta jump through, but that'd be great. There you have it, Xbox Ally. Thank you again to Microsoft. This has been a very cool experience, and I'm glad I can actually go use this in public now, because I got some travel coming up. Gonna get my game on. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you have an Ally, an original Ally? Are you gonna get the Xbox Ally? Super curious. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next video.